Next, we have community and workforce partnerships.
Keep the train running. So for community workforce partnerships, again, this estimated amount does take into account reallocations, but also revenue account coverage. So you will recall, for example, in Workforce and Professional Development Institute, they build a revenue budget and an expense budget. Their revenue projections for next year will cover these positions that we're proposing this evening. So I'm going to start with career and job placement here. The goals, budget priorities that we're supporting here are student success and enrollment growth. So the career services specialist in particular will, by making this a full-time position, converting it from part-time, it will allow for a centralized system to be able to support year-round student employment on all our campuses. So right now we have been able to support student employment in the fall and the spring, and this position will help centralize and manage resources to be able to employ students in the summer as well. We have actually filled that capacity for this summer for the first time as we launched a kind of a pilot program, and we look to expand that by having a human resource that can manage that process and those students. The manager position for apprenticeships will really help us establish an apprenticeship model for CLC and Lake County and help grow enrollment through an apprenticeship program. This resource is pivotal to be able to launch into this space in a more formal way. We've kind of dipped our toe as a college, so to speak, into this world. And I have to tell you, in the last 2 weeks alone, in about 5 employer visits that I've been able to engage in, all of them have expressed interest and are looking for this resource. So this is our opportunity to establish a model and begin to work in this space. For the James Lumber Center, these are also reallocations that will convert from part-time to full-time. And this is about capacity building. It really will ensure some consistency in staffing that are intended to support more efficient financial reporting and purchasing support, as well as greater engagement with our community and our patrons through the marketing and communication analyst position. For workforce and professional development, it kind of hits on 3 areas for us: capacity building, enrollment growth, and organizational viability, as these positions are intended to support a more comprehensive employer engagement strategy that will have the support it needs, again, through human resources. It'll allow us to focus on developing the solutions for employers and also delivering well-coordinated projects by having a central point person and team to be able to do that across the organization. It also enhances our outbound calling capacity to proactively connect with businesses through the office associates positions. Right now, we're very we have a customer service team that can support inbound calls to be able to react to what those needs are, but we want to get more proactive in doing outbound calling and connecting with businesses on a more routine basis, so that those office associate positions will become part of that team and enhance our outbound capacity.
This is to be nimble.
Nimble's written all over.
So is the apprenticeship manager a new position?
Brand new position.
We do not currently have an apprenticeship infrastructure at all, and our workforce employers are hungry for it. And competition is moving into our county, which I really love.
Who knows?
I know. Us.
Next is student development.
So for student development, these initiatives and positions fall under the pillars of access and success for students, equity and inclusion, and capacity building. So the first 2 areas for registered and records and financial aid, this is almost a budget neutral reallocation. So like Allie said, we had used a lot of the funds to really move around to be able to get to the positions that we need. And for our registered and records area, we really are pushing work down and creating more of a leadership position in that area. We have some compliance complexities that are coming forth. We have some more complex technical issues that need to be dealt with. And we have some pretty significant goals that we've set for this year, so we need a little bit more leadership in that area, and we need more capacity for some of the procedural work to be done. So we're looking at replacing, eliminating the position in the Center for International Education and moving those dollars into our records office with a full-time and a part-time position. And then eliminating our business analyst position to create a full-time assistant registrar, which will help give us that leadership capacity in that area. For financial aid, we are looking to tackle the affordability issue. So we really need more stability in this office. Affordability is a big concern with our students, and we've experienced a lot of turnover in these part-time positions. It's a 12 to 18-month training time frame. So to have these positions turnover is certainly not a help to the department, but especially not to our students. So we have set specific targets on increasing the number of FAFSAs that we're receiving, which includes doing more marketing to our students, increasing the number of verifications. And a lot of this is labor intensive with one-on-one or group sessions with students to help them understand financial aid, which can be far from being intuitive. So we need to build some more infrastructure to be able to meet our objectives there. The Children's Learning Center, our Little Lancers, that's really more about making sure we have an adult to student ratio that we're meeting for our accreditation and to continue our gold standard level. We've had some struggles when we have staff that are out or taking vacations, and we really need just a little bit of buffer there. So we're looking at taking a part-time assistant teacher and making that person full-time, and then taking a 9-month position to 12 months to support the summer months.
What's a lead teacher too?
So there are different levels depending on their degrees that they hold and the level of responsibilities based on accreditation standards. So it's a term for the different levels of the child care workers that work in the Children's Learning Center. And then in student life, we currently don't have a Title IX coordinator. We have over 100 cases that are processed a year that's currently being handled by our Dean of Student Life. In addition to handling the cases, there's compliance issues, there's keeping up with the policies and procedures, and then there's a significant amount of training that needs to happen throughout the college that this position needs to assure is happening. This takes a significant amount of time away from our dean, who should be focusing more, if the position had the time, on student retention, incorporating equitable practices, making sure our students have a sense of belonging here, that they're involved in clubs and organizations. This position takes on a lot of responsibility with our early alert system, and is a key role in our retention practices here at the college. So offloading this Title IX work would provide not only helping in compliance with Title IX and making sure that that's safe and secure for our students and our campus, but also giving that position more bandwidth to really handle increasing our student retention, access, and success.
And then strategy, planning, and support.
Okay, sure. Unfortunately, I did miss yesterday's exec staff meeting, but I did come prepared.
You always do.
So for planning support and strategy, the office assistant in the president's office, this is a new position that will be funded through part of a part-time vacant position in the president's office. But this is to assist Carol Dykowski, who is here tonight and does a wonderful job supporting the president and a lot of different initiatives like the 50th anniversary, as well as our strategic planning process. For the public relations and marketing positions, the public relations manager and the web content specialist, one of the things that we found out even back during our HLC accreditation visit is that they often said that CLC does a lot of great things, but we don't tell our story in the public. And then also during the environmental scan, we surveyed a lot of adult students, and parents of students, and they often said that, again, CLC is a great place, but you need to tell your story a little bit better. So part of the reason for the public relations manager is to help tell that story. Also with the web content specialist, we anticipate doing a huge web redesign, which is also some input that we received from our students in our student surveys, is to better communicate with students through our web and our student portal, So one of the things that we want to do with that is do a whole redesign of our website, which will be partly managed by IT, and then the content from the marketing PR department.
Within human resources.
Thanks so much for making me laugh. Okay, so you've heard a lot. Our strategic pillars here are obviously our collaborative culture and equity and inclusion. And you've heard Lori mention several times about the employee climate study. She did a survey of employees when she came here. We've got excellent data on what employees would like us to do to make them more engaged in the community. And you've heard a lot of discussion about professional development and education. I think that first we talk about the assistant director. My goal here is to bring in someone whose primary HR experience has been in employee and labor relations and employee education professional development, because we're going to invest heavily. As we reallocated resources within the HR budget, I didn't ask for any new money on the non-personnel side because we had money that we could move towards professional development and education. And I need an experienced leader to take our program and reimagine, re-engineer, and reframe. I need to reframe. I'm learning. Well done. The professional development education programs to also include career progression, succession planning. And so this individual will help lead those initiatives in addition to reimagining our onboarding and orientation programs to really help connect new employees to our values and the collaborative culture that we're starting to build. So that assistant director is going to take a huge leadership role in that. The HR recruiter right now, this is a little bit of a reallocation too. We have a part-time flex person. You all may be familiar with Kathleen, who's full-time. I've got one part-time flex employee. She works 19 hours a week, and she has done an amazing job in the past year partnering with Kathleen and starting to actually proactively recruit talent so that we're actually sourcing candidates into key positions here. So we're looking to invest in our future employees by being a little more proactive in bringing in more diverse, highly qualified pools, folks that really see us as an employer of choice, but maybe aren't looking for a job right now. They're happy where they are. We want to go after that passive candidate as well as that highly talented new candidate on the job market. You know, unemployment is very low right now, and so we have to work hard to find the folks that are going to come in and help take us to the next level of student success. So I'm looking for an additional 6 hours a week.
Thanks, Sue. So back to the spending portion of the budget presentation. So as you can see from a salaries perspective, total salaries will be $66.8 million, which is a 4.4% increase over the prior year. Big part of that jump is we did reclassify some categories of benefits into the salary line. When we exclude that shift, it's really a 2.5% increase. And the personnel costs are primarily driven by our 4 multi-year union contracts. In terms of the benefit costs, it's showing a 1.7% increase, but as you know, because of that salary shift, it's really more of a 7.1% change from the prior year. And obviously 7.1% is not terrific, but it's much better than the 9% we thought it would be in the spring. So kudos to the benefits committee. Next part of the presentation, just a little quick recap of the capital budget portion of our budget. About almost $15 million covered across these categories. And these are essentially existing projects and existing capital spending categories for the college. Also, I mentioned earlier, there's money above the 30% requirement. As we worked on this year's exercise as a team, we did identify other strategic funding priorities that we could ask the board to consider. And at this point, it totals about $7.6 million. 2.4 of it is the funding of the 3rd year of the OPEB liability plan, and the other $5 million cuts across these various departmental responsibilities. And then finally, the other 6 or 7 budget categories within the operating budget, or the budget that we submit to the board: proprietary funds, debt service funds, working cash flow funds. These are the small niche funds within the governmental accounting area. And then just as an example of deficiencies, we featured the positive working compensation trend. Over the 9-year period, the college has saved $3.4 million from this program. And as you can see, it's been a very successful producing value for the college. We also know that the budget has risks. There's always enrollment growing slower than we had anticipated, possibility of state revenue coming in below what we expected. There has been property tax freeze legislation tied to the potential income tax proposals. We also work hard to monitor our auxiliary funds to make sure that they break even. And then there's potential looming threat of pension legislation. These budget risks we faced in the past, and we propose the same budget contingencies that we've used in the past. So we have the board's approved a fairly healthy reserve for economic uncertainty that we could use. There's also the possibility we get some additional state revenue above what we assumed. When employees retire, there's just some modest cost savings every year from that. And with the new program growth initiative, there's always a possibility of new course offerings that could help generate revenues to offset any one of these potential risks. So that brings me to the concluding slide, the budget status slide. Here we are today. We're presenting our budget for the first time to the board. We'll be asking the board's permission today to publish our budget this Friday. We'll be advertising it. We'll be putting it on the campus, the various campus libraries, posting it to our website, and making sure this budget's available in various communities around the county. June 25th, we'll be holding a budget public hearing. And then the 25th, we'll also be requesting the board to adopt the budget. And then when the cycle is completed, we'll be filing our adopted budget with the state. And with that, if there's any questions?
Ken, do we have any room for life safety bonding or anything to do some of our deferred maintenance?
We do. In fact, we're working with financial advisors, and we'll be starting our campus master planning process. And one of the components of that process is looking at ways to fund some of the critical needs of the college. So we'll be working on that and bringing that back to the board.
Good, good. And then the budget we're currently in right now, if I remember correctly, we basically budgeted having state apportionment being static. So there's probably some extra revenue coming in from the state. Is that correct?
Correct. The governor's budget right now is a 5% increase. If that makes its way through, that'll be a very positive number for us.
I mean, but that's for next year.
Correct.
I'm talking about the current budget that we're in right now. We also did that as static.
We did, and that's what's going to help generate a comfortable number for us at the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.